this is serious business right now. I have a lot to share. Let's start off with some college basketball. 658, West Virginia minus 6.5. 626, Georgia plus 7.5. 615, St. Louis plus the 2. 611, over 149.5. Buffalo, Central Michigan. 603, over 137.5. Appalachian State, Georgia Southern. 653, over 170.5. Mississippi State, Alabama. Let me give you a little NBA, as you said. Where was that NBA? Okay, it's 566, under 227, Boston and Toronto. 568, under 224, Cleveland and Orlando. And last but not least,
Alabama hosting Mississippi State. It's minus 8.5 for the home team, a huge total of 172.5. I recently played Alabama over the total and won. Are we going to do it again, Marco, or do you have a bet for us on the side?
I have a bet on the side, but anytime you're dealing with Alabama, they are a team that likes to go up and down the floor. They can shoot the three. They live and die by the three. But you know, Prez, I'm a situational guy. And on Saturday, we gave out Alabama on our Marco's Deli self-promotion time there. We do a video on Fridays, just like I used to do on the Bet On It show for football, where we find sandwich spots. In Alabama, was coming off back-to-back losses on Saturday, and it was a spot where I thought they were going to get right against Kentucky, and they did. They won that game by 13 points. Now they're coming off of the Kentucky win on Saturday. They got a big sandwich spot. Yeah, they got Mississippi State, who is ranked in the top 25, but they already beat Mississippi State earlier in the year at Mississippi State. They've got a big one coming up on the weekend. They play number 5 Tennessee, and I think this is a spot where Mississippi State, coming off a bad loss on Saturday, they lost to Oklahoma. Now, Oklahoma is just 3-10 in conference play going into that game, and they were coming off 2 big wins prior to that. Mississippi State beat their rival, Mississippi, and then they followed that up by knocking off number 12 Texas A&M in a blowout. After those 2 wins, had Oklahoma on deck, I think they looked right past them to this one tonight against Alabama on TV. I think because of Saturday's results, the line is a little bit inflated to the Alabama side. I'm going to take the value with Mississippi State. I think they keep this game close. Alabama doesn't play great defense. They like to go up and down the floor, but they give up a lot of points as well. I think this one stays inside the number. Take Mississippi State.
Well, this team is rolling now. They've won 2 in a row. They've won 8 of their last 10 games, and they're beating teams handily, Marco. They just whooped Denver in Denver, 123-100. Dallas, though, this is a team that's playing well. They've won 3 of their last 4, and they just lost a bad one to Golden State. I gotta believe that the Mavericks are going to be up for this game. Are you taking the dog or the favorite?
Well, I'm going to take the dog. You basically just did the analysis for the game there, Press, because about everything you said there are in my notes. One of the things that I'll add to that, of course, everybody's going to expect the big game out of Luka, and I do too. But you know what? If he gets himself involved too much with the offense, it's going to actually hurt this team defensively. Not that Luke has ever been known for his defense, but I think he's going to be so hell-bent to stick it to Dallas tonight that they are going to suffer on the other side of the court. And you talk about Dallas. Yeah, the Lakers are playing well right now, as you said, 8-2. But prior to beating Denver in the last game, which was the most impressive win, in my opinion, look at the teams they played before that. The 4 games before that, they played Utah twice, Charlotte, and Portland. Not great teams in the NBA by any stretch of the imagination. I think this Dallas team is a live underdog here. They are improving every game. And remember, they lost a superstar, okay? So they had to find their way. But what I think has ended up happening by losing Luka, they've become more of a team where more people are getting involved in the game plan. And I think it's making them better. They're getting better each game. I like them here. I think the line is, again, I hate to use that phrase all the time, over inflated, but the public is going to bet the Lakers tonight. You know that. The books know that. They pumped this one a little bit. I'll take the value with Dallas plus the points. Well, I'm looking at the Pittsburgh Penguins here. Pittsburgh travels across the state tonight to play their in-state rival, Philadelphia. It was a rough weekend for Pittsburgh, Prez. They dropped both games at home on Saturday and Sunday. But not only was the Saturday game a bad scheduling spot for Pittsburgh, remember, on Thursday night, their captain, Sidney Crosby, was part of the Canadian team that won the Four Nations face-off. Do you think there was a little bit of partying with that Canada team Thursday night? Then he had to turn around, come back to Pittsburgh to play, and they played an afternoon game on Saturday. Add to that, I don't know if you were aware of it, longtime Penguin announcer Mike Lang passed away on Wednesday. And if you've ever heard him call a game, one of the absolute legends of the game, broadcasting-wise. And they had the tribute for him on Saturday. It was a very somber arena on Saturday. It just was a bad vibe. I mean, you would think, emotionally they'd want to win the game, but there wasn't a dry eye in the house. He was such a big part of Pittsburgh. And I think that affected their play. They had to turn around and play right back on Sunday as well. Now they've had a day to catch their breath, had yesterday off, go to Philadelphia, short trip. I expect a much better effort from them. And Penguins goalie, Alex Nedeljkovic, he is a guy that had a horrible game in his last start. But if you go the 5 games prior to that, Prez, he allowed 3 goals or less in all 5. In fact, he only allowed 9 goals over that 5-game stretch. He's emerged as the Penguins' go-to goalie since they waived Yari, and he has played really well since inheriting the number 1 spot. Philadelphia's coming off a big win in their last game. They caught Edmonton. Same things that I just said about the Penguins and Sidney Crosby. You had Connor McDavid, with that Canadian team. They partied hard. I just think it was a bad spot for Edmonton in Philly coming out of that break from the Four Nations face-off. This is a spot where I don't think Philly should be a favorite in this game. I like Pittsburgh. And if you look at Philadelphia since 2023, when playing at home, coming off a win in their last game at home, they're only 11-18, Prez. I think the value's with Pittsburgh. I'm taking them tonight in hockey.
But at the other end of it, there's 6 teams left in. I've got to say that Afghanistan are 66-1 with Bet Online. If you go on the exchanges, you'll get even bigger. I think they're a trade. I mean, I put them up last week, Afghanistan, and they are in the big match tomorrow against England. This is my recommendation, plus 280 Afghanistan to beat England tomorrow. I think that's an absolutely crazy price. So some background to that. They played in the World Cup at the end of 2023, also in the subcontinent, and Afghanistan won by 69 runs. This is at Lahore, where England played on Saturday. And you may recall in that match, I said go overs on the runs at 590, ended up 707. Really absolute run fest. Now, here's the thing. England batted first. They got 352. It wasn't anywhere near enough. And the reason it wasn't anywhere near enough was they cannot play slow bowling. Australia had Adam Zampa, who's a full-time spinner, and a part-timer in Marnus Labuschagne. And those two just wrecked England's batting. They look like getting 400, and they're getting 352. Now, if England can't play Australia's slow bowlers, they're going to have real trouble against Afghanistan, who are arguably the best spinners in the world, Rashid Khan, Noor Ahmed, Mohammad Nabi. And really, in what is a must-win game for both sides, I don't see. I think Afghanistan are hugely underestimated at plus 280. So rock solid bet there. Got a couple of specials in that market in that game. For England, top England batsman, I think plus 350 Joe Root is a pretty solid bet because really there's only 2 batsmen inside who can play spin, and he's the better one. and by the same logic, I'm going under on Harry Brook runs under 28.5 because he's just really struggling against spin at the moment. But the main bet for me there is Afghanistan plus 280. And as I say, don't be afraid to have a little fun bet on them for the title because they are capable of winning it. On Thursday, we have Pakistan v Bangladesh. Now, both of these teams are out.
Yeah.
And once again, you just got to back the dog. You've got to back the dog. Bangladesh is plus 275. So it means Pakistan, who are the hosts, must be completely demoralised. They've had a terrible tournament. If you look at the form that they've shown and you look at the form that Bangladesh have shown, really there's nothing in it. There's no reason to think that it would be that one-sided. And Bangladesh won 2 tests against Pakistan on this ground only last year. So I absolutely think that that's a value bet at plus 275. And also, I'm interested in that game in that I think we're going to see a bit of experimentation with the squads because, they were both out of the tournament. And one player who I quite like for Pakistan, who I'm surprised hasn't played so far, is Fahim Ashraf. And he's at, I think, 2,500 top batsman's worth a little bet there. But the main bet would be to back the dog, 275.
All right, we're taking Kentavious Caldwell-Pope to continue to suck, and we're going to take under 1.5 made 3-pointers. Whereas he's under 9 out of the last 10. He's only attempting 3.3 3-point attempts in those 10 games, and he's shooting 22.5%. So the math is not adding up. He only had 1 3-point game against Cleveland earlier this year. Cleveland's 11th in 3-point defense. This is a complete under on KCP. Little bit juicy, minus 160, but I may or may not have another parlay piece for you. Yeah, let's take Jake Neighbors to go under 0.5 point here. He's only got 1 point in the last 10 games, and he's only getting 1.9 shot attempts per game the last 10. Not a lot of scoring opportunities. Prez, this is, remember the Bam Adebayo has never made a 3-pointer against Orlando?
Yeah.
Jake Neighbors has played Seattle 4 times in his career, no points. So you're getting 100% hit rate on this. It's minus 170, but if you parlay Jake Neighbors to not have a point with KCP under 1.5 threes, that's a plus 151 parlay for you. Proof, Prez. After week 2, I was like, I don't know, take it or leave it. They've done well. They've improved their product. It's watchable, and it's getting bettable now. You're taking Bay Golf Club minus 170 over Jupiter Links. Jupiter Links stinks. Bay Golf is 3-0 in this format. Jupiter is 1-2. Here's what you need to know. Kevin Kisner and Max Homa play for Jupiter Links. They have combined to play 41 holes in TGL. They have 1 point between the two of them. In 41 holes, they have a point. Wyndham Clark has 4 points just by himself on Bay Golf Club. You're fading this Jupiter Links team. That game is tonight, and I would happily fade Jupiter Links at anything less than minus 200.
Andy Lang.